everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Katie here, and oof, it has been a hot minute since I have recorded a YouTube video. So many things have happened. The most significant thing that has happened since I've gotten on to chat last is that we've had family come to visit. Keaton's mom, dad, one of his little brothers, and then his little brother's girlfriend came to visit mid-February for 12 days, I think it was. And I just want to recap that trip so that we have all of our memories in a video. I'll insert pictures and videos that we had here. Keaton's mom put together a list, like kind of as we were going through it, what we did, which is a huge help because now I have Keaton's iPad. I'm just looking at the list next to me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot we even did that. So this will be super handy. I feel like we had been talking about them coming for so long, and then all of a sudden we're like, oh, they're here, they're coming, they're here. And then we were worried about flights because Cyclone Gabriel was hitting the North Island literally the days before they got here. And so we weren't sure if their flight to Auckland was going to be delayed or anything like that. Luckily, nothing went awry there with their flights here. So they got here, and Keaton and I went to pick them up at the airport, and we were just waiting outside of, you know, when they come out in Christchurch. And it was just such a sweet moment because we had been here for 8 months, I think. June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February. Yes, 8 months. We hadn't seen them in 8 months, so it was really great to just hug them again and be like, you're here, like you're actually here. And I think I said a million times, like even when they were in our house, like, I can't believe you're in our house. Like, I can't believe that you're here. Everyone settled, honestly made a drink like right when they got here, and we knew that we had to try and keep them up so that their jet lag would not be an issue. So we went out to dinner at a place that was new to Keaton and I too, and I wish we had gone to a place that we had already been so we knew that it would be great. Not that dinner was bad, but you know, I should have just made the decision to go to a place that we already knew was really great instead of trying somewhere new so we knew that it would be good. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, dinner was great. We played code names to try and stay up that night. That was the first night, basically just like stay up, don't fall asleep, so the rest of the trip, like your body is reset kind of a thing. The next day we drove to the Rakaya Gorge and we did a little hike there. The water was incredibly blue and it was a really beautiful day. We got Subway on the way and then ate our sandwiches at the top of the hike and then came back down. Then we went to Methven, the Opuke Spa, the hot pools, which incredible because you can have a drink while you're in the hot pools. It's like hanging out, relaxing in the hot pools, and it was absolutely gorgeous. When we came back to Christchurch, we had Slick Burger, which is one of Keaton and I's favorite place. They have this burger called the Cranny. That is cranberry, brie, and yeah, chicken, and it was... Next day, we went to the CBD to just kind of look around and go shopping, and then we went to the Willowbank Wildlife Preserve, which was gorgeous. So many cool things there. We saw kiwis, and then we were leaving and there was a ton of police presence and a lot of people in uniforms. And I was like, what the heck is going on? And then I had remembered that Princess Anne was visiting Christchurch. And so I was like, I think Princess Anne is in Willowbank right now. So we never got confirmation on that, but I'm pretty sure that that was happening. So we like waited around a little bit and I was like, she could be anywhere in this place, or she could be arriving or anything like that. So we left, made dinner that night and had some good New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc wine, of course. The next day we headed to Littleton. We looked around the farmer's market that's there on the Saturday morning. We drove over to Sumner Beach, and Keaton, his little brother and his little brother's girlfriend took surfing lessons, which was fun to watch. I am not the strongest swimmer, so I did not partake. Maybe one of these days after I get some swimming lessons. Keaton really enjoyed it and he wants to go back out and try and surf again. In the meanwhile, me, Keaton's mom, and Keaton's dad were just like chilling at the beach, reading a book and just relaxing, which honestly is what I would rather do at the beach than surfing. Looks so hard and so tiring, and props to them for trying to do it, because I would have honestly probably given up. I know that about myself, and that's fine. That night, honestly, it was such a long day. We got Domino's for dinner and then packed for Queenstown. We got up and left for Queenstown at 6:30 in the morning. We stopped at Church of the Good Shepherd in Lake Tekapo. Always a gorgeous spot. Keaton and I have been there multiple times, and it's just always so beautiful. It's interesting though, as we've been there in different seasons. We've been there winter, spring, and summer now, and the water and everything looks so different depending on the weather and everything that's going on around us. This is what's funny, that sets up the later in the day. Stopped to get like a snack, coffee, and just something to tide us over, and the cafe took a lot longer than we probably would have liked. And so from there, that will come back to play later. But from there, we drove by Lake Pukaki and took pictures there. Gorgeous. Again, it's just, I'm always amazed by how gorgeous everything is. I'll say it a million times. We went to the Hooker Valley track, but we got there and we kind of were thinking about the timing for the rest of the day, and we had plans to go to the ice bar in Queenstown at like 6, and we were short on time because how long the hike was going to take, and then we had 3 more hours to Queenstown. Things got a little stressful, and the cafe is to blame for that. Maybe it's not, but we'll say that it is. We hiked Hooker Valley track and it was absolutely gorgeous. We actually ran into friends from Christchurch whose parents were also visiting from the States. So that was kind of kooky. Fun to run into them. Got back in the car after that hike and drove the rest of the way to Queenstown. Fun thing, on the way to Queenstown, my check engine light came on, my tire lights popped on, and Keaton's dad took a look and then rode in the car with me on the way. And my car was having the hardest time making it up the hills. So you're like, what is going on? What is going on? Of course, something always has to happen. Something always has to happen. I'll come back to that later too, because then, well, I'll just tell you now. I came back to Christchurch, made it back to Christchurch, thank goodness, because I don't know what we would have done if it hadn't made it back to Christchurch. But then I spent like $800 to fix everything that was wrong in my car. So we love that. We love that. I went into, and this is a tangent, but I went into the Mazda dealership and I had asked them for a rental car or a lease car, whatever, while they were fixing my car. And they're like, we don't have anything available. And I broke down into tears. I was like, my parents-in-law are visiting from the United States and I really need my car. And they were probably like, this girl, no. But so they fixed my car really quickly and that was very kind of them. And then I had my car again. So anyways, back to Queenstown. We made it to Queenstown. Airbnb was gorgeous. Full line of windows that opened up into the mountains and the lake that's right there. I mean, just gorgeous. Every morning when we woke up and looked outside, I was like, this place is incredible. As I say with literally every place in New Zealand. But when we got to Queenstown, we had made a call and rescheduled the ice bar for an hour later, so we weren't late, which was great. So we had some fun at the ice bar. Your drinks literally come in a cup made of ice. It was great. The next day was Keaton's birthday, and we were supposed to have our fly cruise fly over Milford Sound, and the weather was not good, and so we had to reschedule that. And we drove to Arrowtown, and again, gorgeous. It was a really, really cool place. Saw the remnants of the Chinese settlement that was there, and went into, of course, all of the shops and looked around everything that we could. It was really great. So we came back to the Airbnb, and then we were searching for things to do because of course we were supposed to be doing our Fly Cruise Fly. So it's a little bit of a, what do we do? What can we find to do? So we found a catamaran boat that took us around the lake and told us like a bit of history about the area. And then we had drinks and cheese board on there as well. It was really cool to learn different facts about Queenstown. And once again, gorgeous. Say it again, you should just start making a tally of all the times I say New Zealand's beautiful, and it'll probably be up to like 1 million in these, however long this video is. And we came back and got ready for dinner since it was Keaton's birthday. A really nice meal at a place called Flame down in Queenstown. And then got some gelato it was right next to Ferg Burger. Because I know that there's different places next that are like related to Ferg Burger, like Mrs. Ferg or Ferg's Bakery, something. Anyways, gelato, that was great. Then, one of the days we had Ferg Burger. I don't have that listed here, but we did have Ferg Burger. It was really great. That's all I have to say about that. I waited in line for like 20 minutes to order and then waited like another 20 for the food because of course super busy, because that's the place to go when you're in Queenstown, but it was worth it. It was very good. The next day, the guys, Keaton's dad, his little brother, and himself, of course, went on a little fishing trip in, I think they were in Glenorchy. I think that's where they went. I want to say Glenorchy. Keaton's mom, me, and his little brother's girlfriend just went into town and did some shopping that morning. Keaton's mom almost got hit by a giant truck crossing the street, and I kid you not, I think I just stood there because I don't know if she looked the opposite way. I think that's what happened. Looked obviously the opposite way because traffic is coming the opposite way than it does from America. And I didn't cross the road because I saw it coming because I looked that way. And I literally was like, yeah. So that I was like, no. I was like, I will not make the call to your sons and your husband that you were hit by a car. So that was crazy. Funny to look back on it now, not funny in the moment at all. But I digress. We did a wine and bike tour, which was so much fun. So we got e-bikes. Keaton's little brother and his girlfriend got regular bikes, and I highly suggest e-bikes. They kicked butt on their regular bikes. But I think if you're like on vacation and like going winery to winery, go for the e-bike because it's worth the money. The wineries were beautiful. There was a couple that we went to and they were like, you don't have a reservation? We're like, nobody told us to have a reservation. Like you would think that when we booked the bikes for the wine tour, somebody would have said something about that. But yeah, a couple of them, and then a couple of them were like getting ready to close, and we thought that was strange because the bike tour like ran over that time. And so you're like, why would they close? Or why weren't they told? But anyways, miscommunication on somebody's end. But it was really gorgeous. Fun to just bike around to wineries. There's so many wineries that we didn't even get to. Need to go back, but I highly suggest a wine bike tour if you are in Queenstown, or honestly anywhere. If you have a lot of wineries together, just bike to all of them instead of drive. It's great. The next morning we were supposed to wake up and go paragliding, but again, the weather was not on our side. So that got canceled. That was really sad. I think it was so hard because literally the week before they got here, 2 weeks before or something, it was literally 30 degrees and sunny and gorgeous. And then once they got here, the weather just went. So it was sad because we were planning everything for like gorgeous weather. And then of course, something that's out of our control but still nonetheless frustrating. We had our flight to Milford Sound, and gorgeous. I kid you not, gorgeous. However, the weather, they probably should have canceled all together. So we weren't able to land and do the cruise part. And so we knew that going into it, we would just be able to do the flight. We were in a very small 6-passenger plane, and we almost fell out of the sky. And that might sound dramatic, but we almost fell out of the sky. Keaton's mom was just like in a fetal position praying. And we had a couple of people get sick. And it was so hard because we wanted to enjoy it so much. But it just, I feel like we need a hard do-over on that. We just need to forget that that ever happened and redo it all over again. The poor pilot, I think he was supposed to be telling us like facts about the sounds and everything like that, but he, I think, was just honestly trying to keep us alive. So we didn't get a lot of like description into what's going on. We did so more on the way back, but it was rough. It was really rough. It was gorgeous when you could keep your head up to look, but otherwise you weren't feeling the best. One day we'll go back and we'll get a redo. At least me and Keaton will go back and get a redo, because yeah, it's just one of those things where it could have been like so spectacular and it just sadly went completely in the other direction. But that we have a good memory now of like, we were all in that together. Truly, we survived together. We would have died together. Once again, funny now, not really funny then at all. Quite sad then, actually. But anyways, after that, we got fish and chips from a famous place in Queenstown, and we just decompressed. Of course, made drinks. The Eisenmingers are in love with Moscow mules, and so I think that my body composition the whole time they were here was like 70% Moscow mule, which is not a bad thing because they're really yummy. But the next day we woke up and headed back to Christchurch. We stopped in Fairley and got meat pies at the famous Fairley meat pie place. And then we headed to our rugby game that Keaton had bought tickets for. So we got ready, we went to this pub, and the pub was pretty empty and the street was empty. Like, we found parking, we're like, oh, that's weird. Like, if there's a game, shouldn't it be more busy? Come to find out, the game was actually the next day. So we had dinner at a pub, and it was really great. It was like 2-for-1 burgers, 2-for-1 cocktails and drinks. It was a great bargain. But when you let Keaton plan things, maybe sometimes they're not always the most accurate. So we went home and played more games. Eisenmingers love games, card games, board games, everything like that. So just another funny thing of like, oh, Keaton, I love you so much. And I should have double checked. When the game was. The next day, we slept in for a little bit, and then we got ready and went into the city center, and we had a ride, hop on, hop off ride on the Christchurch tram, which was really, really cool. I think anybody that comes to Christchurch should do the tram because you get incredible history of the city, and they're really funny. It's a great way to just learn more about Christchurch. During that day, we had a punting ride down the Avon, and it was really fun. It was raining, like pouring rain. Pouring rain. It would, when I tell you the weather was not on our side, the weather was not on our side, but we had blankets and we had umbrellas and we made the best of it. I had seen them when we were like walking around the Botanic Gardens and things like that, but to do one is really fun. So I think as much of like, it's a very touristy thing to do, if you're in Christchurch, I think you should do a punting down the Avon. It's not too expensive and it was just a fun thing to do. That night was the rugby game. So it was the Christchurch Crusaders against the Chiefs from Australia, and the Chiefs won, unfortunately, but that was the first time Keaton and I had ever seen a rugby game, and it was so much fun. The atmosphere was fun. What was going on in the game was really fun. I had honestly no idea what was happening, but I want to go back. Keaton's dad was on the rugby team at his university, and so he knew what was going on. So glad that we went to a game, and we'll have to go back. The next day, I feel like I just keep saying the next day, but the next day, we got up and drove to Helloooooo, which is honestly one of my favorite places. I think it's beautiful, and they have a really yummy cafe there that I like a lot. But we took a 3-hour sailboat ride on the Fox 2, and we saw Hector dolphins, which is the world's smallest dolphins. We learned so much about the area. It was really fun. And then we stopped by another one of our favorite places, which is the Shamara alpacas. We've been there before, and it is just so much fun. The alpacas are adorable. They had alpacas that were born like 6 days prior. So stinking cute. But if you're ever in Helloooooo, top thing to do, go see the alpacas. We'll probably take everyone that ever comes to visit to the alpacas because we just love them so much. Came home to Christchurch and got ready to go out for drinks. We went to Kong, which is a bar in the city center. Super yummy drinks, really good, just like little nibbles to eat. So that was really great. And then the next day was our last day, and we went to Taylor's Mistake Beach. We had a lot of fun there, just like relaxing at the beach. And I think that for me was really great because that's something that Keaton and I do like pretty consistently, is just go to the beach and read and hang out. And of course, like it was so great to like show them different parts of New Zealand, but to be able to show them what we just do like on a normal basis felt to me like this is our life, like this is what we're doing here, kind of a thing. So a caveat of that day was we were playing Frisbee, and Keaton had his wedding ring on at the beach, and all of a sudden I look up and Keaton's like, ring. And I was like, your wedding ring? And his wedding ring flew off his finger. So if you're ever at Taylor's Mistake Beach and you find a wedding ring, might be Keaton's. But we looked for it for a really long time. I had contacted like Christchurch ring finders and stuff like that, and people went out to look for it and were very kind in doing so, but we couldn't find it. So we ordered the same one from the States. We got it from a store in Keaton's hometown, and Keaton's mom picked it up and took it to the priest that married us and got it blessed. And so when we're back in America to visit in August, September of this year, he'll get a wedding ring back. But don't wear your wedding ring to the beach. But that night we cooked of Keaton's mom's really good recipes. It's like chicken bow tie pasta, and we had a couple of bar friends come over that had moved to New Zealand from the UK like 20 some years ago. That have been a really great connection for us here. And so we got to introduce them to Keaton's parents, and I hope that that was good to show that like we're making connections and building a community, and heard a little bit about like their journey here and things like that. So really good to kind of be like, oh, look at them like thriving here, like they're doing great and everything like that. But I know that a lot of that was a ramble. And I'm going to try and edit it the best that I can to put pictures and video and everything of the sorts in it. But I just wanted to make sure I got it recapped so we can look back and be like, oh my gosh, do you remember when we were supposed to fly to Milford Sound? It got canceled and then we went again and we almost died. Like that's something you gotta have on record. But like I said, so many things have happened. Got a new job and things have just been wild, absolutely wild. And so I am going to try to be better again about recording videos and getting things out, more so to have for our own memories. But of course to let you all know what's going on. So many of you guys have been so kind and reached out and been like, where are you? Are you okay? Are you alive? Yes, I'm alive and we're doing well. I just have been focusing on just living life and not necessarily like having my camera out at every single moment to record things. But I'll try and be better to make sure you don't think that we're dead on the other side of the world. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.